Hey folks, how you doing out there? Darren Scores here with another Drink and a Wink and our OctobeRye features. Not going anywhere as deep as we did with September with having bourbon every day or rating a bourbon every day, talking about a bourbon a day. Yeah, let's face it, I drink a bourbon almost every day. We're not doing that here because I was going to take a little bit of a break, all that good stuff. But we thought I'd come here kind of late here and just talk a little bit about couple of different. Well, we're going to try to get maybe 3 or 4 in. I know I want to talk about High Rest Rise with Michelle on camera. That'll be coming up, right, Michelle? We're going to talk about Journeyman Distillery's Last Feather Rye, which is one of our favorites. See, let's look over my shoulder. But we'll probably talk about Wilderness Trail and what was the other one? Town Branch. Maybe we'll even talk about the Buffalo Trace Sazerac. But tonight we're just going to talk about a very simple. I don't want to say simple. Let's just say, garden variety, good grocery store selection. I put it right on top of a plastic cup. So you can see it. We're just I'm gonna put it on an upside down plastic cup. Nope. I'm gonna get the old cash box that we still have here for some reason. Like I said, it's easy to pick up because we're freelance musicians, and you know the cash box is gonna be empty. You roll your eye. Okay, we're gonna talk about Knob Creek Rye, 100 proof. We talked about Knob Creek a whole lot when we were doing the bourbon because we talked about their 9-year-old bourbon, and we talked about that Barrel Select bourbon that I had, which is I didn't give a top 5, but that was definitely in the top 5 of my bourbons for September. But we're going to talk about the kind of companion, brother, sister to the bourbon. We're going to talk about the 100 proof rye. Knob Creek, as you know, as we talked about with the bourbon stuff, is owned by the Beam Suntory Company, so the Jim Beam Company, Claremont, Kentucky. And this is an interesting rye in that, well, let's put it this way. It's kind of gone through some changes in terms of packaging and bottling. As you can see, not only is this bottle getting a little bit low, as we're getting maybe towards the last, just under the last quarter of this. We've had it a while, and as you can see, I prefer the color and scheme of this label, but you can see there's no age statement on it. For a little while, Knob Creek took both their age statements off the 9-year-old bourbon and the 7-year-old rye. So we bought this quite a while ago, and this did not have the age statement. Now they have that. Return that back. It's the same whiskey. Do just keep in mind that we don't really know much about where this is distilled. Again, it's the Jim Beam Company that owns it, but it could be some influence from something they I don't know what they do. I don't think it's sourced. I do think they actually distill it themselves. What else can I tell you about it? This is one of these that maybe when we first were buying ryes, we didn't really know what we were doing. We would buy 1 or 2 and go, okay, this is good. This is not so good, and we didn't really know why we were liking them or not liking them. And then as both our need for certain things popped up. I'll explain that in a second. And then just our taste profiles, our taste. I don't like using taste profiles for people. Our tastes changed a little bit, and we kind of got a little more knowledgeable about what we were drinking. Maybe our opinions of different bottlings changed. I will tell you this. When we bought this, we liked this. I didn't go crazy over it. We were also doing it because I bought this one in the bourbon around the same time that we bought the Elijah Craig small batch bourbon and rye. We're kind of rating it. I would say that Knob Creek 9 bourbon versus Elijah Craig small batch, I would say that might be a rub. Michelle, you might agree if you remember at all that, you remember drinking this before, right?
Yeah.
It's Knob Creek. Do you remember the Elijah Craig rye at all?
Barely.
Okay, so I think I can say maybe we'll pull it out and try it, but that was what we were kind of comparing. We like this a little better. Last thing of note, they don't have a mash bill published for this rye, but drinking it now, I can tell that it's not a high rye mash bill. So again, we've talked about the rye thing. For it to be rye, I'm going to say, I'm not going to say it again. It's like when you're in that meeting and the person says, well, it goes without saying, and then they explain exactly what was supposed to be going without saying for 15 minutes. Right, Michelle? But just remember, when we talk about whatever's on the bottle, is called bourbon, rye, wheat, whatever you want to call it. When we mean that, or when they state that, it has to be 51% of the primary grain, or that's whatever is 51% or higher is the primary grain. So bourbon has to be at least 51% corn. Most of the time, they're going much higher into the 70, 75 range of corn, and then there could be rye as a secondary component, or wheat, and then sometimes malted barley. In this one, we're kind of guessing that this is a 51% rye, 52, something in that range. So it's not a high rye mash bill. And lately, when we have been drinking ryes, we have been drinking high rye mash bills, like the aforementioned Journeyman Last Feather Rye, or the Whiskey Acres from DeKalb, doing their thing. It is kind of interesting, and I'd have to do some more research, but the big companies that are known mostly for their bourbon seem to do a 51% rye in that, and then some of these other companies, and I just mentioned two that are not from Kentucky, they will do something that's much higher, where it could be 80% or 95 and then just 5% malted barley. This is not that. The last thing I want to mention is just keep in mind, I'm actually reading a nice little fascinating short book. If you're really interested in just kind of learning about the basics of some of these things, American whiskey in particular, I will post this book because it was a very cheap little. I bought it, on Amazon, but for the Kindle app, and it's a really nice little quick explanation of things. Whiskey, really enjoying them. I've read much more, more dense and deeper going into things, but this one was a nice little refreshing thing. And I was kind of remembering that rye is not a Kentucky starter. That's more on the East Coast and Pennsylvania and Maryland. That's where rye really developed, because that's where we grew the best in the early days. And when George Washington had a distillery or owned a distillery, they were doing mostly rye. And then the other thing we want to keep in mind, that rye went into, is a big part of Canadian whiskey, and then therefore the prohibition thing, even though they weren't selling it here, a lot of that rye went up there. So it stuck around for a while. Then it almost fell off the planet. So, needless to say, the traditions of rye in America were not started in Kentucky. That came over there later. It started in Maryland and Pennsylvania and areas like that. On the nose, rye spices do not pop out on me with this. I'd be a little bit kind of. I know I'm not drinking a bourbon, but I'm not 100% sure I'm drinking a rye yet from the nose. On the taste, Michelle, if you want to give any short on that. Now I know it's a rye. And again, if it's a 51, if it's just a 51% rye, it really is kind of popping out. Sorry, I was talking and then tried, and it's not too hot. Matter of fact, I'm like, this has been in the bottle a while, so sometimes the alcohol burn will kind of burn off, kind of fade off on that. But that's not why my eyes are watering now. I just kind of swell. What? I'm getting emotional over rye. I'm getting emotional because thank God I'm not drinking bourbon. I'm telling you, I love it, but I'm really glad to be back on rye and scotch. So maybe we don't even need to be doing this whole OctobeRye thing, but I like to do it because we haven't focused in a long time. We've gotten a few since the last time we were focusing, so that'd be nice. On the taste, yeah, a little bit of there is some Smarties and sweet kind of flavor. Yeah, Smarties, I said it. Michelle might completely, but there are some grassy notes. It's not a high rye mash bill. The finish was where I can get that. The finish is a little thin. there's some earthiness there, but not necessarily grassiness, and it ends with more of what I would refer to. Well, you're not getting the cinnamon aspects of the corn side of it or anything of that nature, or what you get from the cask. What you're getting is not the spiciness of the rye, but like the nutmeg, darker. I said no spices, and I'm going to say spices. But those little darker spices, there's not a lot of sweetness to it, nor is there a lot of grassiness on the finish. Michelle, you have anything to say?
Give me another second.
Okay. Not to taint you, but I've been drinking, drinking a lot of bourbon, and then, like I said, I've gone maybe I've had a drink maybe 4 times this month so far, 5. This one, I'll say this: at 100 proof, this does not taste like 100 proof, right? This isn't.
It doesn't.
Okay,
Yeah,
it hides
it's
its.
calm.
Yeah, it hides its fire, pretty good. But anything on the taste?
I, I thought I heard you say the word thin
Yeah.
for a second, and I think yeah,
Okay.
I felt that. I don't know if that's really in a bad way. It's flavorful.
Okay.
I not sure if I'm getting as much of the spices. It's actually tasting sweeter to me tonight than anything.
Okay.
I don't know what that's about. If that's just where my taste buds are at this moment. But I don't know. It's good.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of give it the same thing. There's a balance to this. Now, again, this is an old bottle. Like I said, we're in the bottom fifth of it, so there could have been some mellowing going on.
Yeah.
But then sometimes when that, it can actually kind of amp up. But yeah, it hides its 100 proof really, really well. It's complex enough. There's a little bit of bite, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of grassiness, but then there is also a sweet component. Nothing wrong with this. I would say that in this price range, which is going to be just under $40, unless you get on sale, I really have to say that this would be a good. I would say this is like your, as much as we're not raving about it, your bar staple. This would be a go-to if you wanted to up your game from, let's say, what else is in the cheaper price range. Well, you know what cheaper price what's cheaper on this. The Jim Beam rye or those different kinds of things. This thing up at close to 40. Let's see what else. Sazerac rye from Buffalo Trace will be up there. I think this is a better sipper than Sazerac rye. I know it's been a while. Well, let me put it this way. It's more rye-y-ish than Sazerac to me. Maybe I'm wrong on that. It's definitely more rye than Elijah Craig, if I remember correctly. Here's what I say about this. If you can get this on sale, okay, for a couple bucks off, okay, this is a really nice to have in the bar because I think this would be a good mixer for cocktails. Because I think for most people when they're making cocktails, if they are going to choose to use a rye, I mean, there's some that you could use bourbon or rye, but if you're choosing to use a rye, if you go all out with a high rye, then you have a really spicy cocktail that is not at all sweet.
Did you say high rye?
Yeah, a high rye. High rye. I don't even know why. I don't know what that. Why did you respond to that? So I think this would be a real good one for blenders, and yeah, I don't mind sipping it. All right, I like it.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about what you're gonna cocktails that have rye in this is a nice kind of. This is why I'm saying it. If you used one that's a 51% rye, but it tastes all corn, that might be. I mean, you might as well just use bourbon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you use one that's 95% rye, like Whiskey Acres, and let's face it, Whiskey Acres and Journeyman, they taste so good. I'm not blending that. You know what I mean? So this is a nice one that it tastes like rye, right? This doesn't taste like a bourbon.
Oh, it does.
And at that price range, this might be a good blender. And if you're trying to make, what are the main cocktails for for rye. You got the Sazerac. Now it probably makes sense to use the Sazerac rye, but the Sazerac, you got Manhattan. You've got I wrote a couple of New York Rye Ball, which is, if you haven't looked that up, look up the New York Rye Ball. That uses ginger and sweet vermouth and a little bit of lime. Check that one out. I think we're going to make that one sometime because you could drink that, right? Because it doesn't have any.
Yeah.
We should try that sometime, right? A ginger, yeah, ginger, sweet vermouth, and lime. And then obviously the rye. Actually, we might make one right now. No, I'm kidding. Do we have any limes? Literally in my line of sight. Do we have any limes, Michelle? This is how frustrating it is to be married to me. What about lemons? You got any lemons?
That thing right next to the line.
What about oranges? Do we have any oranges? Okay, but now I'm going to stump you. How about an apple? Okay, now I'm really going to stump you. How about a kind of metal, old school cash box? All right. Anyway, all right, she's even. All right. If she's grown tired of my humor. What about some ginger? Could we make. Well, we need ginger. There you go. Look at that. A fresh ginger. It's a cornucopia of flavors right here at the table. That's what I'd say. Or a rye old fashioned or a brown derby, a cocktail named after the famous restaurant in San Francisco, right? And then there's the fake one in MGM Studio. Is that what it's still called? MGM Studios in Florida? I don't even know. Where am I going? Anyway, I'm going to give this a slight thumbs up. I'm only going to give it, in score-wise, I'm going to give it a 7.7, okay? But this would be a real good one if you find it on sale, and it's on sale a lot, and it's grocery store. Do keep in mind, you're going to see this label. It's a slightly different color now. It's going to have the 7-year on it, so why not give it a 7.7? But yeah, this would be a good one to have in there. If you don't own any ryes, you wouldn't go wrong. You could do a lot worse than starting with this one. Okay, if you have a cheaper rye and a more expensive rye, this is one that's right in the middle. But like I said, it's not in mash bill. It's rumored to be closer to a 51% rye, but it tastes a little better than that. And the other thing that's very cool about it is that at 100 proof, it's kind of hiding that very well. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Hope you enjoyed your video, or your video, my video, everyone's video. Hey, let's get it in. Hey, do you still have, even though COVID's kind of hopefully going for the most part, do you have any masks? KN95 masks? I got them. I think we're learning, if anything, that we need to clean off the tables over here that we're doing this. Also, I got all kinds of shots today. I got 2 shots right up there. Look at that. All right, let me bend down so you see this. There's not much there, but yeah, I got 2 shots. Got my current COVID and the flu. I'm going to go back for shingles. I couldn't do all 3 because I know it knocked Michelle out, but I think it's time to do shingles, right? Yeah. 53, I should be doing shingles, right?
You should be doing shingles.
Okay, I'll go back.
Caught with shingles.
What?
You don't want to be caught with shingles.
I don't want to be caught with the shingles?
No.
Don't want to be caught with the shingles. All right. I'm going to get my shingles vaccine soon. All right. Boy, is that what I'm going to end with? A shingles vaccine? Knob Creek. Now, 7-year-old rye at a bottle at 50% or 100 proof. I'm going to give it, like I said, give it a slight thumbs up, 7.7. It's real. Yeah, get it. Yeah, get it. Just while we're here, just a couple more seconds. What was the one that you would consider be the best blender, or the best, like, all around? Would you think it would be the Sazerac? Would you like sipping the Sazerac? No, I'm not saying best dry. Like, which one do I want to sip neat? Like, if you're going to have one for that you can sip, but also be in cocktails. I'm asking the rye expert over here.
I feel like that would be High West.
You know what?
I do like Sazerac a lot.
Okay.
But I actually haven't sipped that in a long while.
Okay.
I have both sipped and
used High West. All right. Well, that means that we have to do the High West feature because we have 4 of them over here, right? Okay. Yeah, we're going to do the High West next. The High West has always been one of our favorites. A, because they do a high rye. I said it again. High rye. Oh wait, now it actually. Yeah. Why are you laughing at that? Why is that? I mean, if you're going to say like high salt. No, that doesn't make any sense. High rye. Well, anything that's a blend that you could change the.
No, it's there. It's just fun.
Okay, high rye rye. High rye rye. What song is it?
I don't know.
A high rye rye. A high rye rye. You see that clave and left hand cascara on the right and singing. Triple threat over here, folks. Where was I at? Yeah. Okay, so you said High West. We're going to do High West next. High West next. A high rye rye. We got the double rye, which is their standard, straightforward. What was I saying? Then you got high rye rye, and I know more and more they were using source. They're very clear about it. They're using one part source and part their distillate. And we have that one. We have one that has we got a couple of special ones for Warehouse Liquors a long time ago, and we love both of them. And we're gonna try both of them. The white port. There was a High West rye, double rye finished in white port. We have another one that was finished in Syrah, which is one of my all-time favorite whiskeys. So that's what's coming up. And then finally, it's not totally a rye, but we got the Campfire. I was just drinking Campfire last night, and I really enjoyed it. Now that we're getting into the fall, the Campfire, if you don't know about it, was a bourbon, rye, and a slightly light Highland peated with a Scotch whiskey as a blend. Sounds crazy. But the first time they put that out, they were using mostly source, or I think it was all part of their sourced whiskey batch. Maybe there was a little bit of their rye in there. And now, from my understanding, that the rye is all their own distillate, and the bourbon is their own distillate. And the only thing that they're farming out is the obviously Highland Scotch whiskey. I drank that yesterday after I poured myself a dram, and then I had a little more. So that's a good one too, if you can find it. Maybe a little expensive for what it is, but it is a limited edition, and you see the High West Campfire. That's it. All right, kind of hanging out now. You want me to hang up soon? Hang up. Whatever. All right. Anyway, Knob Creek, 7-year now. 7.7, I'm rating it. Go grab your knobs, folks. What?
Wow.
Yeah, that was bad. Hi, rye, rye. This guy says, hi, bye-bye.